His argument is so poorly researched that he has gone as far as claiming that Kaysing's statement on radio was an inadvertent confession.
I wonder what Bill Kaysing would say if he was alive today, and it suddenly occurred to him just how damning his confession about John Grant was. I suppose he'd probably respond like this.
I meant to do that.
Guess what? Kaysing did mean to say that. Had Astrobrand bothered to research further than just the Kaysing interview, he might have become aware of this leaflet that has been available since the Moon book itself. Why I Wrote the Book We Never Went to the Moon, and Why I Continue to Investigate, by Bill Kaysing. Kaysing happily and freely gave this to anyone who wanted a copy of his book, or anyone who picked up his book catalogue. Keep in mind, Astrobrand seems to think that Kaysing's statement on radio was an inadvertent confession. In this leaflet, Kaysing writes, "In 1972, my wife Ruth and I received a contract to write a book on wilderness survival. Seeking a quiet place to work, we bought a 75-foot former US Coast Guard cutter which had been converted to a houseboat. It was moored in the Fifth Avenue Marina in Oakland, California, an area where many homeless people congregated. We invited several to share our floating home. One young man, John Grant, was a Vietnam veteran with a heroin habit. We learned that he had acquired it while serving in the Marines in Nam. He had been part of a death squad ordered to kill innocent South Vietnamese men, women and children and blame it on the Viet Cong. His drug habit was partly motivated by a troubled conscience. One night he said, 'Bill, I was conned by the US government into thinking that what I did was patriotic, but that is bullshit. Hey, why don't you blow the whistle on our rotten and corrupt government? Say something outrageous, like, we never went to the moon.' So much for Kaysing's statement on radio being an inadvertent confession. What, you think Bill, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, honesty is the best period Kaysing would try to slip anything past his audiences? If you think Astrobrand's poor research ends there, you ain't seen nothing yet.
And people have been using his same stupid arguments for the last 35 years.
The so-called stupid arguments Astrobrand refers to are as follows. The LEM should have left a crater. Stars should be visible in photographs. The Van Allen belts should have killed the astronauts. Shadows are parallel. Flag shouldn't wave. NASA murdered the Apollo 1 and Challenger crews. The LEM should have raised a cloud of dust. I asked Astrobrand to tell me just how many of these claims actually originated from Kaysing. And he stated he didn't care. How revealing. He doesn't care if he gets the facts right. All he cares about is trying to make his opponents look bad by any means possible. Well, let me enlighten him. Of everything listed, only 3 of them are from Kaysing's book. True, Kaysing was the first to express his belief that the Apollo 1 crew were murdered, but René was the first to say that about the Challenger crew. I even stated this in my video announcing René's death. The video that Astrobrand commented on and likes to Photoshop for humiliation purposes.
Well, you know, there's one time I was at
In the January 1966 interview that Astrobrand quote-mined, Kaysing stated he only learned of the unparalleled shadows 2 months previously from friends in Europe, i.e. David Percy and Mary Bennett. As for the waving flag, that was William Bryan's discovery, not Bill Kaysing's. Bryan, who holds the BS in nuclear engineering, first pointed out the waving flag in his 1982 book, Moongate, Suppressed Findings of the US Space Program. As the title suggests, Bryan did not doubt the moon missions were real, but rather, the US military covered up various scientific anomalies that NASA discovered during these missions. From what I have read of the book, Bryan did a decent job in pointing out anomalies in the Apollo film record that others had missed, But his efforts all went to waste because his misplaced trust in NASA caused him to reach totally wrong conclusions. The flag was waving on the moon? Oh, the moon must have an atmosphere. Astronauts aren't jumping very high off the ground? Oh, the moon must have gravity stronger than 16G. You get the idea. But his readers give credit where credit is due. There is no doubt the flag was waving, and it is not waving because the moon has an atmosphere. Well, there you go. There's not much left to comment on in Astrobrand's video, although it seems that yours truly also got a mention in it. Here we go again. Long before the release of my MoonFaker series, I had made it my hobby to catch things on film. Scenery is a beautiful thing. I would often take shots of cars rolling by, rays of sunlight, and because I'm a fan of aviation and aerospace, I would like to record videos of passenger airliners that would often pass by overhead. On August 11, 2006, whilst recording such a video, I had the surprise of seeing a C-130 fly overhead. I guess you could call it good timing, right place, right time. Second time it flew by, it was obscured by trees, making it frustratingly difficult to get it on film. But I managed one way or another. Innocently, I uploaded this video to YouTube. Now, what does this have to do with Apollo moon landing hoax conspiracy theories? Absolutely nothing. Yet Astrobrand and other internet trolls and propagandists have taken the events of this video and twisted them for their own purposes, alleging that I got paranoid and ran from the plane, thinking it was coming to get me or something.
After hearing that, I don't know how anyone could take anything that this man said seriously, or how anyone could take seriously any of his successors who keep parroting the same nonsense that Kaysing did. Like this one.
What the fuck?
He's a very active YouTube moon hoax believer and video poster, and this is how he reacts when he sees a C-130 military transport plane near his home. But when he sees a second one come by, his true paranoia becomes evident.
Astrobrand's video was only the first parroting this warped view of what happened that day. Since the release of this video, others have followed in his footsteps, not only making these ridiculous and libelous accusations in YouTube comments, but now they've started making YouTube videos about it. This is about as pointless as their hyping over my use of unintentionally inaccurate diagrams and typos. But because so many have made a big deal over their grave misinterpretation, or more likely, deliberate misrepresentation of the events of that day, I feel this warrants a response. Honestly, I shouldn't even bother with this section because it has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the moon landing hoax conspiracy movement. But, because the propagandists have made it the subject of debate, I feel as though I have to address it. As you can see, these trees behind me and that lamppost over there, that's where the C-130 cargo plane flew overhead.
What the fuck?
Now, I initially cried out, what the fuck, because, well, what can I say, we don't have those kinds of planes normally flying around here, you know, low altitudes or high altitudes, we don't see them flying around here. Without being specific, I live in one of the more northern regions, northern suburbs of Sydney, and the closest airfield, the closest airstrip is about 40 kilometers away. So obviously, typically the only planes we see around here are the Boeing 747s and the other passenger jets that we see, you know, up at cruising altitudes. Now, over this way over here, as you can see, there's a whole heap of trees in the way. These are the exact same trees that we saw before. Obviously, as you can see, these are the same trees that where the plane flew across in the first place. Now, on the next pass, it was flying around over that way. It started from here, came across there.
Fuck.
Now, the trees were in the way when I was trying to get a shot, so I was like, fuck, I said the F word in frustration. So I ran this way, side, to try to get a clearer shot. As you can see, the trees on this side were blocking the view. Here I got a better shot. Right? Now, propagandists have tried to allege that, oh, I must have been running away from the plane in my paranoid state. Well, listen, if you can see, this is the exact same area. If I was trying to run away from the plane, why would I be running towards it? The plane was over there, flying across this way. You can see that's the same area, the same oval where it was flying over. These are the same trees, right? I was running this way, okay? So obviously I wasn't trying to run away from it in some paranoid state, okay? I was just surprised. The first time I saw it, I was just surprised to see a C-130 flying around here. The second time I said it fucking frustration because I couldn't get it on film the first time. The first time because like the trees were in the way. Now if you're gonna try to use that video, those reactions as some sort of defamatory plot device, then obviously your argument must be pretty weak. I pity you. Get help.